my hospital socks. And the gown that I'm going to put on correctly this time. The room looks really, really nice. Looks way better and bigger than the last time. For sure. Lots of room in here. There is a ton of room in here. I'm very excited about it. Okay guys, so I'm all checked to my room and I'm ready to roll. They are about to give me a Cervidil and see if they can place a folic balloon in me. Not excited about that. Last time, had the same thing happen. Hurt real bad, so the next time you see me, I might be in tears, but it's all real. I'm gonna try to make this video. I'm on medicine for my contractions after getting the Cervidil and the balloon, and I'm so out of it. I'm gonna put my camera down so I don't break it. Hey guys, so it's about 12:30 in the morning and my very heavy drugs have worn off a little bit. I can barely keep my eyes open, but I have made absolutely no progress with the Cervidil and the balloon. So they'll just come check on me every hour or so. I'm so tired. So I'm gonna try to get some sleep. Got friends on the TV and it's kind of where we are for the night. So nurse did say that she highly doubts that I will deliver in the nighttime. So I think we've got a long road ahead of us. So I'm just gonna keep on keeping on. Just wanted to show you guys how swollen my feet are. Look at that. Oh man. It's been so bad. Both of my feet are like that. Oh my goodness. Whew. Alright guys, so this is my room for the week, and I'm a little emotional just making this video, so I'm gonna try to be a little bit better from here out. But this is the room that I came in to have the baby, and this is a regular labor and delivery room, and I never imagined that I would be here for so long, that my baby would never be in this little bed ever. He would never be weighed in here. He would never do anything in this room. He would never see this room, you know. I would not have the joy of having him up on my chest when I had him or anything. And just looking back, this has just been an incredible journey. But this is the wheelchair that I've used all week to get around. I'm walking just fine right now, but I'm really grateful for that. This obviously never got used. This is my window of little presents for me. I don't have a lot of presents this time because not a lot of people got to see the baby. This is my little area. It's a mess, guys, and I don't even care. Just getting stuff packed up right now, but that's a little couch my husband slept on. It folds out into a bed, but that's been my bed for the week. This is, this makes me sad. My dad bought me this robe. It's just been a great comfort to have. And the little nightgown that I'm wearing, my sister bought me, and it's just been a blessing, a really big blessing. This was my bathroom, and I don't need to go in there or anything. It's a really nice bathroom, but this is the room that I walked into planning on having my baby.
and I didn't have my baby in here. I had my baby in a C-section operating room under pretty extreme conditions, and I just really, looking back, want to show baby that this is where he would have been born had he come out like I planned him to, but God had something different in mind. So anyway, I just wanted to show you guys where I stayed for the week, and this video obviously is nothing like I thought it would be, but this is as real as it gets.
Hi friends, it's been a while since I've picked my camera up to film anything, but I wanted to talk to you guys about what happened when we went to the hospital and just kind of how everything played out. So I've been kind of dreading making this video just because I still get really sad talking about this, so I'm just going to try to keep it like together. But basically we got induced on a Tuesday night and I went into the hospital around 5 p.m. I got into my room. I had this beautiful room that you saw at the beginning of the video. I was really excited because it has big, beautiful windows, and it was way more spacious than the first room I had with my first son. Same hospital, but different room, obviously. So I was really excited. I kind of knew going into it what to expect because my doctor had basically told me it was going to be along the same lines of what happened with my first son, because I was also induced, unplanned induced with him, but planned induced with this one. And I had brought a whole bag full of like coloring books and Sudoku puzzles and movies and just like things to fill my time with, because I knew that it was going to be a long process. If you've ever been induced, then you know kind of what that process is. And sometimes it looks different for women depending on what your doctor has planned for you. But basically for me, what happened was I got induced at 5 p.m. They went ahead and by like 6:30, 7 o'clock, they had put me on Cervidil and a round of Cervidil, and then also placed a Foley balloon. So I'm not going to get too graphic in here in this video because I just don't even want to go that deep. But like Cervidil basically is a drug that they give to you to help get your contractions started. And then the Foley balloon, actually, it gets placed up inside you to open up your cervix. So as you can imagine, it's a painful process. Now, to my surprise, I went in there with a really good attitude. Like, I wasn't going to cry. I was going to be really strong. I really had like this mental placement that I was just going to do really well. And I did really well through all of that. They got the balloon placed and the Cervidil started, and I didn't realize or remember that contractions start almost immediately. So I was sitting in my bed and I remember thinking, oh my gosh, something is really hurting me. And I looked at the nurse. Her name was Lisa. I'll never forget her. She was a very kind older lady. And she said, well, your contractions are like, they're starting. So if you need some medicine, let me know. And I was like, okay. So I decided I was going to wait a little bit and kind of see where I was. So about an hour went by and I was like, I cannot even focus on anything anymore because it was such bad, painful contractions. And she asked me if I thought I needed like a good strong medication to help me with the pain, and I said, like, of course, yes, I do. So she put me on a medication called Nuvain. Nuvain went straight into my IV, and I remember looking back at her and asking, like, how long it's going to be until the medication started working. And she said, well, it's going to start immediately because it's going into your IV. It's going right into your vein is what she said. And right at that point, my head kind of just like went, like I just kind of was out of it. It was honestly like such an immediate effect. I couldn't think straight. I couldn't, like, everything was blurry. The pain was gone. It did its job, but I could not function with that medication. And it stayed in my system for a couple of hours. And I was trying to text people and, like, tell them what was going on, keep them in the loop. And I couldn't even think straight to do that. Like, you should see my text messages. They were, like, misspelled. There was words in there that shouldn't have been. Like, I just couldn't think straight. So that stayed for a couple of hours. And then once it wore off, it started to become, like, really nighttime in the hospital. And if you know what that feels like, nurses come and check on you basically, like, every half hour to 45 minutes, it feels like. And they give you more medication, they check on you, they get your vitals, they do all of these things. So the hospital's not for rest. If you're thinking you're going to get a restful sleep at the hospital, probably not. But I knew what to expect. Like, I knew what to expect. So around 4 o'clock, she came in. I was saying, like, my contractions are back. And they're so bad. I could not even think straight. And she couldn't give me another dose of the Nuvain. So she said, do you want your epidural now? And I said, what's the harm? Like, is there a harm in doing it so early? And she said, no, there's no harm in doing it early. So I was like, okay, yes. I will take the epidural. Now, if you all know my story from my first son, my epidural was absolutely horrendous with him. It hurt me so bad, and the team of people that did it were not nice to me. They were not kind to me. They kind of were yelling at me, saying, like, we told you not to move. Please stop moving. You're making it worse for yourself. Like, they were not nice to me. And it was a whole team of people. So I was nervous about that. So this very nice anesthesiologist came in about a half an hour later. Just one guy. He was the nicest guy. He'll never watch this video, I know that, but he was a godsend. He was the nicest guy, and he just talked to me like I was a human being. And he said, "You're doing great, Mama. You're fine." And, like, through the whole process, he was very gentle with me. Like, he kept saying, like, I'm going to go ahead and go at your pace, so whenever you feel like you need a break, just let me know and we'll kind of stop. And that's what we did, and he did it all the way up my back. And then it was over. Did it hurt? Yes. It was painful, but it was not any more painful than, like, a regular needle in your skin would be. It was so different from the first experience that I had. And I told him about the first experience, and he was like, I'm so sorry that you had that experience. It shouldn't have been that painful. But he said, I think I know why it may have been so painful for you. He said that because your torso is so short, your spine is actually really long for your torso. And so that's probably what contributes to your pain, specifically you. And that made me feel better. I'm like, oh, there's a reason that I'm, like, feeling so much pain than normal, because everybody else was like, oh my gosh, I can't even feel my epidural when I get it. I'm so sorry. The sun is, like, really on me right now. I'll kind of switch this over here. So anyway, I got the epidural. It was about 4:30 when I got the epidural. And I quickly started to lose feeling in both of my legs, that's what happens when you get an epidural. Like, the bottom half of your body, like, kind of goes limp, basically. There is such a difference between getting an epidural in the daytime versus getting an epidural during the nighttime. Last time I got the epidural at, like, 2:30 in the afternoon. This time I was getting it at 4:30 a.m. and I'll never ever get it again in the middle of the night. Like, it's the worst thing to not be able to feel your legs when you're trying to sleep. My right leg kept falling, like, sliding off the bed and falling. So, and this poor nurse, she's just trying to do the best she can, and, like, she had to deal with me. I feel bad for her, but I just kept asking her, I'm like, can you pick my leg back up and put it back on the bed? And then it would just slide right off again. So that was a mess on its own. But the bandage that the anesthesiologist put on my back, like, all the way down my back,
it was actually too tight of a band-aid, and it was ripping the hair out of my skin on my back. And so every time I moved, it was just this awful pain of someone literally ripping hair out of your skin. So it was terrible. So I had a horrendous night's sleep. I only slept about 45 minutes the entire night. And then in the morning I slept for about an hour. Like once the nurses kind of backed off for about an hour, and I just slept through for about an hour. So when I woke up, they started Pitocin on me. Pitocin kind of helps you, from what I understand, it kind of helps you, your cervix open up more and get ready to start the labor, the pushing process. And so, that's what we had planned. We had planned a regular, like, vaginal delivery, and I was ready for it. I was mentally prepared for that, and I was ready for it. Now, through the whole pregnancy, not through the whole pregnancy, about when they start being able to detect how much your baby weighs, they kept telling me, this is going to be a bigger baby. This is going to be a big baby. Big baby, big baby. That's all I heard. And I'm a small person. I'm 4'7". Y'all know my channel name is Living Life Little, and I am 4'7". I'm a very small, petite person. And I kept asking, like, is, like, C-section going to be, like, what I'm going to have to do? And we were really hopeful that that wasn't the case. And up to the end, up to that point in the hospital, like, we were set for pushing, and I was ready for that. And there was no, like, my baby wasn't harmed at all by doing the vaginal delivery. Like, it was just fine. Everything was totally fine and on cue and on plan. And about 10:30 they came in, they said, okay, we're about to break your water, and then you can start the pushing process probably relatively soon after that. And I was like, okay, I'm so excited. I was so excited the baby was going to be here in like an hour. And I was so excited. If you guys didn't know, we didn't know the gender for this baby. And so I was so excited for like the big show, like the big reveal, baby comes out and it's like, it's a boy or it's a girl. And I was so stinking excited. I was so ready for it. So I began to like clear off my space and like get ready and stuff. And they came in and they basically checked my cervix to see if I was ready for my water to be broken. At that time is when everything went south, and it went south really fast, and I didn't have time to mentally prepare for any of it at all. And so this is the part where it's kind of hard for me to talk about it. So this team of nurses came in, they checked me, and they said, we feel something on top of your baby's head, and we think it's the cord. And so my mind immediately went to, like, my baby has its cord wrapped around its neck or something like that. So I was already panicked. And they said, no, it's nothing like that. It's, your baby's fine. It's just that if we break your water, the cord's going to come out first, and it's actually going to, like, make your baby lose his or her oxygen. And I immediately was panicked. I remember them leaving and going to get an OB to check me again and to do an ultrasound to make sure that that was the case. And I remember looking over at my husband, and he could see the panic in my eyes. As my hands were kind of shaky and my, like, tears, they were coming to my eyes. And he said, don't worry, it's probably nothing. So just don't worry about it. It's fine. And so I was breathing. I was telling myself, you're fine, everything's fine, you're gonna be good to go. It's probably nothing. So they came in with the ultrasound, and they did verify that it was the cord on top of his head, and they were trying to get a hold of my doctor, and they did. And I remember this team of OBs came in, and they were standing around my bed, and they said, we're gonna take you in for a C-section. So I remember bursting out in tears because I was so scared. I didn't know, I didn't know what to expect. And they walked me through everything. And they were very kind to me. And I was so grateful for that. I was basically saying that, you know, I wasn't sure if my baby was going to make it because it was a C-section, and they said, no, don't worry about that. Like, we have successful C-sections all the time. Don't let that be one of your concerns. And then I was like, how much longer am I going to be in the hospital now? Because I was only expecting to be in there for like 24 to 48 hours. And they said it's about a 3 to 4 day stay after a year C-section. And I just began to think I have a 3-year-old at home that I hadn't seen for 24 hours at that point already. And I've never been away from him. You know, that long. And my heart just began to ache. I was just scared and unprepared, and there was nothing. There was no other options. And so the doctor looked at me and she said, you're going to have this C-section. There's no other option for you. So we need to go. I need to go do this now. And I looked at her and I said, okay, let's do it. Yeah, I'm ready. If this is the only way that my baby can get here safely, then let's do it. So I asked her, I said, I have prepared a playlist on Spotify. Can I bring my AirPods and like listen to music? Because I wasn't planning on being operated on, you know? And she said, it's probably not a wise choice. In case you lose them, we won't be able to get them back for you. And I was like, okay. So I couldn't have any music. And one of the nurses, she looked at me and she said, honey, I got you. What do you need? What do you want to listen to? I will let you listen to my phone. And I'm so grateful for that nurse. This is like one of the best memories I have from this experience. I looked at her and I said, don't judge me, but like, I listened to Post Malone, clean versions of Post Malone songs, and I wanted to listen to one specific song, Wasting Angels, from his new album, 12 Karat Toothache, and she looked at me and she said, that's a new one, but no judgment here, and she got it pulled up, and they wheeled me over to the operating table. Basically what they do is they take your clothes all the way off. You're just completely naked in this room, this sterile white operating room, and they asked me if I wanted to see everything that was going on, which I was like, no, I do not want to see what's going on. So they put the curtain up, and immediately I started to gag. Laying on my back with a lot of pressure on my spine basically makes me lose oxygen, and it makes me very nauseous when I'm pregnant. And I was so nauseous, I started to gag, and I started to feel like I was literally just going to vomit. And then I started to feel like I was going to choke on it because I was laying flat on my back. So I started to panic. So I put an oxygen mask over my face. And they asked me if I could feel anything. They were beginning the cutting process, and I said, no, I can't feel anything. And they said, okay, like, do you want me put to sleep? And I said, no, I've been waiting, you know, for this moment for 10 months, basically, to know if I'm having a boy or a girl. I want to know if he or she's healthy. Like, I want to be awake and alert for all of that. So they began that process, and, sorry, he's over here in the room with me right now. But they began that process, and they, I could not feel any cutting at all, but I could feel them pressing on my gut, which is so weird that you couldn't feel someone cutting into your skin, but you could feel someone pressing down. And within seconds, I could hear his little cry, and my husband was beside me over here on the left to me, holding my hand, and he said, it's a boy, and I was so excited. But I never got to see him. I never got to hold him. Soon after that, they had put a sedative. They'd given me a sedative, and I fell asleep. And I remember seeing him like in my peripheral on a little table. But the next thing I knew, I woke up in my hospital room, and I looked over, and he wasn't in his. He wasn't in his little this little bin. It was as if there was no baby born in this room, and there wasn't. You know, they had wheeled me away, and I knew that, but they had all of the, like, extra pillows and stuff in this bin. And I remember looking over and thinking, where is he? And, my husband was standing over by the window, and before he could say anything, the nurse said, "Oh, you're awake. Your son's in the NICU. He swallowed some fluid, on his way into the world, and he's in the NICU." And I said, "I never got to see him. I want to go see him." And she said, "Right now, you have to get out of your bed to do that, and it's going to hurt really bad." And that's when I kind of came to the realization that I was in a lot of pain, and getting up and moving was so much worse than I anticipated it. If this is something that will gross you out, probably skip out for just a few seconds and come back. But I got up and immediately just bled all over the floor, and just the pain that it felt to literally walk to just a few steps over was unbearable. It was horrendous. And I remember thinking, I don't care, I just want to go see him. That's all I care about. And hours later, the nurse came back and she finally said, "Okay, let's go see your son." And she put me in a wheelchair and my husband wheeled me down. And I got to the door of the NICU, and sorry guys, my memory card was full. So anyway, we got to the NICU, and we got into the NICU door, and a whole team of, like, NICU nurses met us at the door and said, he's not allowed any visitors right now. And I just remember thinking in my head, I'm his mother. What do you mean? I'm not a visitor. I haven't got to hold him yet. And so, oh God. You're okay. I remember thinking, what do you mean, you know? How am I not able to hold him or see him? And anyway, I went back to my room, and then one of the NICU nurses came, and she came back to my room, my hospital room, and she said, "You can see him now." And I was so excited. I was so excited to see him. Somebody got very hungry. So they told us that we couldn't visit, that he wasn't having any visitors, and that was hard. I went back to my room and cried. I was frustrated with the NICU. I thought, how dare you tell me I can't see my son? I haven't met him yet, you know. I was so upset. But somebody came back eventually about an hour and a half later and said, you know, "We're ready. You can come see him now." But we went back and saw him, and he had all of these tubes, and everything on him. It was very hard to see him for the first time like that. I couldn't hold him. I could just touch his hand, talk to him. That was very hard. That was really hard. And the way that the NICU works where we live is that there's 4 people that can come see that baby. That can come see your baby. So you get to pick 4 people, and that's the only 4 people that can ever see him in the NICU. So we picked both of our parents. So my parents and his parents, and all the aunts and uncles, and my oldest son. He could not meet his brother while he was in the NICU. It was... everything I had planned was broken. It was gone. And I just felt robbed, honestly. I just felt robbed of the time, robbed of the gifts, and the gifts of being able to see people's love and joy and expressions, like when they see him and everything. And oh gosh. So my parents went to go meet him, and then my husband's parents went to go meet him, and they kept telling them he's can't have visitors again. And I was like, what is going on? And so they finally, I think, were able to go see him finally for a few minutes at the very end of the night. And the team of NICU people, I think it was a nurse and a doctor, they came to my room about 11:30 at night. It was really late. And they said, after he swallowed the amniotic fluid, we believe that his left lung has collapsed. Part of it's collapsed. And he's been put on a ventilator. And we don't know why. We don't know what caused it. Basically, they were thinking that it could be he was leaning so much on me to breathe that when he came into the world, he didn't really know how to do that on his own. And so that was hard. That was really hard news. And I went and I saw him, and we prayed over him, and just, I was so sad. Like, I was so sad. They were going to get it ready to start him on a round of antibiotics in case he had gotten, I don't even remember the name of it, some type of pneumonia. And they started the antibiotics the next day, and it was incredible to see that the NICU has got all these little teeny tiny babies in it. For the most part, they're pretty teeny tiny. And Mace was in the corner. He had his own little corner. And he was huge. He was the biggest baby in the NICU. He was born almost shy of 9 pounds. He was huge in the corner. And when he cried, when you came into the NICU, because you had to walk all the way around the NICU to get to him. When you walked in and you heard him crying, you knew it was him. You knew it was a Mace cry, because all these little babies had these little tiny squeaky cries, and his was just a monster cry. But the next day, I believe it was the next day. I think I got to hold him the next day. I was so happy. My heart was filled with joy, like, that I got to hold him. And when you have a healthy delivery and everything goes as planned, you don't even think about how beautiful of a blessing it is to hold your own child. And for me to get to do that was just like the biggest blessing. The biggest blessing. The hugest blessing. I didn't get to dress him in all these cute outfits that I packed for him. I didn't even get to feed him. He was on a feeding tube. He was on a ventilator. He had all these patches on his chest and his legs and his foot. And so he was basically just wrapped up and swaddled for days. Anyway, he was in the NICU for 6 days. 5 days, excuse me. And I think on the 6th day I'm so sorry, my camera keeps running out of room. So our NICU stay felt like a lifetime. It was only a week. But I went every feeding cycle, which was like 3 hours, I think. And I fed him as much as I could. I was there as much as I possibly could. And you know, life was still going on outside of this. You know, we have a 3-year-old at home, and so our family was helping us as much as they could, and we're so grateful. Like, literally could not have done it without them. Anyway, we got to take him home about 2 hours before trick-or-treat. And we dressed him up and took him trick-or-treating with our oldest son. But one thing I've learned just from this whole experience is that I felt through the whole hospital stay, I felt so grateful to God that he was surviving, that he was making it. And of course, so blessed to take him home so quickly. Such a quick turnaround. But I also felt so robbed. I felt so sad for the time that I did not get to spend with him. No, I didn't get to hold him for like a week of his life. There was a lot of times when I couldn't even hold him due to my healing, the incision line that I had, and just all that process, and then also just him being on all those cords and not being able to pick him up. I was stuck there mentally for a little while. And then one night, I just realized that all the time that I have with my children is not mine. It's God's, and he gave it to me. He's the giver of everything. And it's not fair for me to second guess why he did what he did. It's not fair for me to say, why did you take my time away from him when it wasn't my time to begin with? And this little boy in my arms right now is not mine. He's God's. And it's such a beautiful thing to think about how sovereign our God is and how blessed I am to be a child of his. And how beautiful of a gift that he's just given to me to be a parent and to get to take my baby home from the NICU. I have no reason to be upset. I can only be full of joy, and I can only be full of love and gratefulness. And so for this year, just right in time for Thanksgiving, this year what I am really thankful for is my family. That we're home. And we're all healthy. I told you guys I was going to try to keep it together, and I really didn't do a good job. But I hope sincerely, if you have a little baby in the NICU right now, I hope that you know that it's okay to be sad. You're not alone. And I really hope and pray that you get to take your baby or your babies home soon. And that you enjoy every single second that you have with them. This is the hardest video I think I've ever filmed. And a very long one, so I apologize. But, I'll let you guys meet him. He is chowing down on a bottle right now. He eats a little funky because of the way that he ate in the NICU, so I'll kind of post it down here. But this is Mace. You guys haven't formally met yet, and I don't show my kids on here very often, but he is chowing down on a bottle and it's almost Thanksgiving time. He's already in 3-month clothing. He's a chunky little guy. But I am so grateful for him. I'm so grateful for him and for Milo, my oldest son. He is a precious big brother. And I'm just really grateful to be here. This whole experience has made me look at life a lot differently and a lot more fragile and a lot more to look at life in a precious way now and to not take it for granted, not even 1 second. So I'm thankful for everything, and I'm thankful that it played out just the way it did, because he had a whole corner to himself, a whole corner in the NICU, full of nurses that literally loved him so much. And if there was ever one person in the hospital to thank, I want to thank one person in Children's Hospital to thank. I want to thank his nurse, Catherine, that did a beautiful job of loving him. And how lucky is he to have had one whole week full of teams of people that literally just loved him 24/7. Full attention. Loved him. I'm so grateful for them. Every one of them. But especially Catherine. So big thank you to Nurse Catherine and the Children's Hospital for loving our sweet little boy when we couldn't be there with him. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this video. Again, I apologize for the lighting. It just kept moving, so I kept moving with it. But I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving, and that you eat a lot of yummy food and you express your Thanksgiving to God and to all who make you happy and do so much for you in your life. So I'll see you guys in my next video. I'm not sure when that's going to be, but hopefully soon. Bye guys.